So,
oh, here it goes again.
we're going to give speeches.
Andy!
But we thought we'd get dressed up for them first. So, thank you.
Yay.
You get them from Berry Market, very cheap. We all thought we'd all chip in and give a bit of a speech, a bit of thoughts at this time about David and Margaret and their 60 years together. Now I'm told that they actually met on a blind date. That still has been going a long time, actually. In 1956, November 1956, but didn't really start going out together until the January of '57. But then it was all pretty quick, and they were engaged by June 1957. So no hanging about, David. Well done. Very decisive.
He didn't do a lot of thinking.
Did he not do a lot of thinking? Okay, so nothing's changed there. And then obviously got married on the 25th of July 1959. So we just thought we'd think about what life was like in those times. So to start off here is what was top of the charts in 1959 when they got married. Because I know David's a devotee of pop music, so he knows really well. But I'm not going to ask him to tell you because it spoils the fun. So if you want to listen, you can join in if you remember it. This is what was top of the charts when they got married.
Bobby V. Thank you. Yeah.
So before getting carried away, you're too ribald, so well done. So what was going on in 1959? Harold Macmillan was Prime Minister.
Still is.
Famously said, we've never had it so good. He also said, no man succeeds without a good woman behind him.
Yeah.
He also said, it has been said that there is no fool like an old fool except a young fool, but a young fool has first to grow up to be an old fool to realise what a damn fool he was when he was a young fool. I don't think that applies to David at all, really. What else was going? Obviously 1959 was very, very exciting. It was the first motorway was opened in 1959. The M1, you remember it well? Yeah. You could speed along without speed limits. Milk was threepence a pint, which in new money is 15 pence. But petrol was 5 shillings a gallon. Okay, so that's 5p a litre.
Wow.
I know, quite a terrible thing. Lots of other things happened. What were the films that came out that year that took our notice? The Nun story with Audrey Hepburn, thank you very much. And North by Northwest with
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, yes, there are some people still alive. Books that came out, well, Agatha Christie brought out Cat Amongst the Pigeons, which I've read and couldn't understand a word of it. But actually, a very important book was published, which has a real resonance for David, because Ian Fleming's Goldfinger was published in 1959. But much more importantly, a certain Margaret Thatcher was elected to Parliament in 1959 for East Finchley. And so there we go. So 60 years later, here we are. Now, if those of you who've been to the house, you notice that the Queen has stepped up to the plate and sent her apologies that she couldn't be here today. And actually she couldn't be at the wedding either, because she was in fact in Canada opening the St. Lawrence Seaway. And if you know what the St. Lawrence Seaway is, you're not getting out enough, and you should get a life. But I actually tried to work out what happened on that very day that was of real note, and I have to say I was struggling to find anything really significant. But what happened on that day was, well, it was the first day that we used postcodes in the UK, but only in Norwich. I can just say on the side, they were celebrating in Nottingham because Nottingham Forest had recently won the FA Cup, which I know David was very excited about. Okay. It was also the very first hovercraft crossing of the Channel on the 20th. Do you remember that, Margaret?
I do.
Oh, well done. Well done. But the most important thing, before I hand over to Andrew, who's absolutely itching to get going on this, is that the most exciting thing that happened, apart from David and Margaret's wedding, on that day, it was indeed the very first episode of the Ken Dodd Show on TV. I'm sorry that you missed it. I know you would have been keen to watch it, but otherwise, that was it. And otherwise, so frankly, the most memorable thing that happened on the 25th of July 1959 was obviously David and Margaret's marriage. And I'm going to hand over to Andrew now, who's going to carry on.
Thank you very much. David said, Mum and Dad first met in November 1956. It was on a blind date, which was arranged by Mum's college friend Jill and Jill's ex-boyfriend. Mum was at the time at Goldsmith College in London. Dad had finished university, was doing national service, and so he came up for an shot. They met, or they were to meet for dinner in Leicester Square. So Dad met Mum at Leicester Square tube station. Now, initially they just went out as a group of four, so their first date, just the two of them, was in January 1957. Now, Dad used to like to take Mum out to special dinners, and Mum remembers a particular one where they went out to Quadlino's, which is a nightclub near Green Park. Now, the club actually still exists. Now, nowadays, the dress code is rather sort of more casual, though still smart casual. At that time, you had to sort of very much be dressed up. And Mum remembers that they went out for the day beforehand, and because they hadn't got anywhere to change, Mum and Dad were sort of dressed in their evening clothes throughout the day, and they went out to the theatre. So they went to see The Mousetrap, and at that stage they've got a sort of a special manager at the theatre. They sort of saw Mum and Dad dressed to the nines and thought, oh, they're going to be in the really posh seats. And I think it was rather taken aback to sort of see, no, they were up in the gods, in sort of the upper circle. Anyway, they got, as Dave sort of mentioned, they got engaged very quickly, sort of 3 or 4 months later. So on Thursday, 13th of June 1957, Mum and Dad got engaged. They got engaged under a tree just outside a hospital. Now, why were they at a hospital? Well, unfortunately, they'd been taken there after Dad's car had gone into the back of a London bus. I will have to say that it wasn't Dad's fault. The bus had to do a sort of rather an emergency stop because a motorcyclist in front of them, the sort of pillion rider had fallen off, so to stop going over them, the bus driver had stopped rather rapidly, but Dad didn't stop rapidly enough. So went unfortunately. So unfortunately went into the back of the bus. So Mum unfortunately cracked a patella, and Dad had some cuts to his head. Anyway, so that's they sort of say they got married engaged on Thursday, the 13th of June. There's not too much information between sort of getting engaged and getting married, but one of the memorable things is in 1958, Mum had finished college and she was in Shirley, where she was brought up, and Dad was visiting, and he got toothache that day. And he asked Mum if Mum had got some whiskey. Now, Mum, not knowing much about hard liquor, sort of did have some whiskey somewhere in the house, and she poured a full tankard of whiskey for Dad. So now we know where Dad's sort of love of whiskey comes from. Anyway, the wedding day. The wedding was held at St James's Parish Church, Shirley, and thankfully it was a scorcher of a day. and it was a day definitely to remember. I mean, in the morning, Mum was woken up. That night, they'd got John and his brother Charles, who were aged, around about 6 and 11 at the time. And Mum was woken up to find them shooting rubber darts into the ceiling above her bed. Where were their parents? Well, Christine and Eric, Mum's brother-in-law, they were staying in a nearby hotel. So although it was the night before getting married, Mum was still responsible for looking after sort of 2 youngsters. Anyway, Christine came around later that day to help Mum sort of get dressed and prepared. But Charles was also having a bit of a strop that day. So Charles is Carla's father, and he was refusing to go to the church unless he would be allowed to sing "Catch a Falling Star" and put it in your pocket. Now how they got around that one, I'm not totally sure. Anyway, Mum and her mother had arranged light refreshments at the Saracen's Head, which is where the reception was going to be. I would assume Mum's family was also going to be having light refreshments there. But it was also the place that Dad's family was going to be changing. Unfortunately, though, actually I hadn't quite realised that, I was going to say there were no motorways at the time. It was clearly a motorway on the M1, but there were no motorways between Birmingham and London. And the coach driver got lost. It's such a small place, Birmingham, it's easy enough to get lost. So the coach driver got lost, and so they didn't get there. So they were a bit late. Now, in the meantime, Dad was meant to be, I think Dad was meant to be collected by the coach, or was meant to meet up with them, and realising he was going to be rather late for the ceremony, he dashed out in his morning suit, top hat and tails, and jumped on a bus. In his rush, he'd forgotten to take any money with him. Thankfully, one of Mum's friends, who also knew Dad, a lady by the name of Sonia, was on the bus, so she managed to pay for Dad. Anyway, in the meantime, sort of when the Mum's car with her got to the church, they would be sent around because Dad's family still hadn't arrived, and some of Dad's family had to end up changing on the coach by putting some towels up at the back of the bus. And so Dad's father was changing at the back of the bus with towels around. And I'd love to have known what Auntie Daisy said at the time. So we don't have any sort of stories on that particular one. But because of the delay, there was a wedding ceremony going on, meant to be going on straight after Mum and Dad's ceremony. And because of the delay with Dad's family arriving, it was decided that the wedding that was going to take place after Mum and Dad's would go first. So Mum's family all had to sort of traipse out of the church, and sort of thankfully it was a wonderfully warm day. And each time Mum's car would come around, Mum would be pushed back in the car. And I mean, for Mum's credit, I mean, she not knowing what was going on, I mean, she didn't think she'd be dumped at the aisle or anything like that. So yes. Anyway, the ceremony eventually took place, and the bridesmaids were Jill and Elizabeth, and it's nice to see Elizabeth here, and Ronald. John and Janine's father was Dad's best man, and Eric, who was Mum's brother-in-law, gave Mum away. Anyway, it sounds like the wedding ceremony went fairly smoothly. No other problems. Though Alan's brother, Peter, sounds like he got rather bored, and having been on a hot bus all day, he decided he would put sticking plasters all over himself in the wedding ceremony. So, anyway, in terms of after that, they then went off to the Saracen's Head to have the reception. Now, according to Mum and Dad, we gather it went very well. You're going to ask, why do they gather it went very well? Well, after the ceremony was put back a tiny bit, obviously the reception itself had to start a bit late. So unfortunately, Mum and Dad only managed to have the starter and get part of the way through their main course before they then had to disappear to get into the centre of Birmingham to get a train down to Bristol, where they were starting their honeymoon that first night. And the following day, they went down to, presumably they got another train down to Lynmouth. Unfortunately, the hotel that they'd been booked into wasn't the best of hotels, and the room they'd been given, which for a married couple was in the basement, So they could see people walking past, and at that time you hadn't got any en-suite rooms, and the bathrooms were next to their room. So unfortunately people kept barging into their room, and Mum ended up at one point having to jump into a wardrobe. So very quickly they decided this was not the place for them. But being July, they ended up getting a taxi, and then the taxi drove them around trying different places to see where there was some accommodation. And eventually they found a place in Linton, which is just above Lynmouth. Now Mum said it was a fantastic accommodation. They were given a beautiful room which overlooked the sea, presumably from a tiny bit of distance, and everybody there knew that they were newly married and they could not have been treated better. They had a sort of a fantastic time. So albeit the sort of first day possibly not the best place, it sounds like they ended up in a fantastic place and a sort of wonderful place to have a honeymoon. Anyway, before I hand over to Davina, just in terms of the early days of marriage, after getting married, they went back to, I think it was Wells, where Dad was at theological college. Now, married couples were theoretically allowed to live out of college. Unfortunately, because I gather there were so many married couples, Dad was required to stay in college for the first term, so until the end of 1959. Now, Mum had got a flat just down the street, so what Dad would do is, at the end of the day, when they all had to go off to their rooms, Dad would then climb out of his college bedroom window and would go down to where Mum's, where the flat was, and then early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, Dad would then sort of leave the house, leave the flat, and then climb back into college. And I gather one day Dad was seen leaving and somebody yelled out, "We know what you're doing!" So nothing came from it. And then just sort of the final little thing about that was, Mum was a bit sort of bemused by the fact that at about 11 o'clock at night, all the lights in their flat would go out, and they could not work out how to switch the lights back on again. And eventually, Mum or Dad sort of contacted the electricity board to sort of say, "Look, what's going on?" And they eventually discovered that the lights were actually connected up to the street lighting. So as soon as the street lighting went out, so did their lights. Anyway, now I'd like to hand over to Davina.
They've developed a lot of shared interests, and these have helped cement their love for each other. You probably all know some of the things that I'm going to refer to. So the first thing on my list is cats. Daddy brought their first cat, Jemima, home. Not knowing much about cats, he transported this little kitten in his Mini, carefully sitting in a paper bag. She didn't stay there for long, and Jemima had great fun exploring his car. Once they got over the initial mistake of naming their lovely tabby Jemima, she turned out to be a he. And over the years, they've enjoyed the company of, and many apologies if I've forgotten any cat. We've got Thomas, Tiffany, Weston, Oswald, Babushka, Juniper, Geraldine, Siegfried, Maxim, Melba, Sasha, Arthur, and now their tiny black cat, Tilly. And I'm sure over the years you've seen some of these cats. All the cats have given Mummy and Daddy so much happiness and laughter they could write a book about all their exploits. So much fun was apparent that other cats in the neighbourhood also visited Mummy and Daddy. And so these include Simon, Sylvester, Ginger Fred, Rogan and Seth. For Mummy and Daddy, planning where they sit, the cats always have the same ideas. What they eat, without any pussy help, and trying to go to bed or go out whilst attempting to locate the cats was always a challenge. The cats were keen to help out with Daddy's meals, especially when he was eating meat and fish, although he did also have to barricade his cornflakes from Jemima's paw. Some of you remember Mummy and Daddy's golden anniversary party. The cats had the chairs in the conservatory while the guests stood respectfully around them. Certainly for Mummy and Daddy, cats had top position in the house. I think if I asked most of you what you think is a shared passion for Mummy and Daddy, you would probably say travelling and having the most interesting holidays. They could have had their own TV show highlighting the best, the worst, the most beautiful, and the most stark, which is one of Mummy's words. They are particularly good at remembering names of places and arranging travel. Nowhere has been too difficult for them. They travel the length and breadth of the world, and I think it's hard for us to name places where they haven't been. But I think some of their favourite places have included New Zealand, South Africa, the Greek islands and Canada. And they've also had many happy holidays in Britain also, probably Dorset and Cornwall being up there in their favourites. Dave, Jess, Marcus and I have been able to join them on some of their more recent adventures, including to the Isle of Wight. And I also have to mention Mummy and Daddy's love and dedication to their family. As children, Andrew and I were extremely well entertained at weekends and school holidays on many trips out. Mummy planned them, usually with a picnic, and we all went off to parks, castles, adventure playgrounds, zoos, museums, etc. Mummy and Daddy like to keep us busy, and our many outings are part of our happy memories. Also our annual trips to the seaside, swimming, digging holes, sandcastles, often in Cornwall, and not forgetting at the end of the day the obligatory fish and chips or Cornish pasty and chips. We played many board and card games, and these usually went without incident, as long as Daddy won, particularly cards or Monopoly. As the grandchildren came along, the fun continued, although I think the trips became more adventurous. Certainly for Ben, Jessica, Marcus and Serena, who came home covered in mud, but very happy. This was a joint effort in that Mummy planned the outings, while Daddy encouraged all the wild challenges, including swinging on ropes over ditches, inevitably falling in, and suggesting that Ben wade across the lake with Marcus on his shoulder to retrieve a ball off Moose Island. They are looking forward to Ben and Marie's marriage, and Marie's fitted in very well into the family, and like Ben, she now addresses letters and cards to Grandma and Grandad Siegfried. They are both very thrilled with the arrival of their beloved great-granddaughter, Elise, and hopefully she will enjoy many happy outings also. Family and friends are really important to them, and it's great so that many of you are here today to enjoy their celebration. Whilst the family on all sides continues to grow, the new members are thoroughly enjoyed and welcomed, and Mummy particularly relishes looking for that special gift for them. They're amazing at remembering important events, all the pets and extra little pieces of information, so we all know how much they care for all of us. The basis to all these shared interests and passions is the love and care that Mummy and Dad have for one another, and to making each other happy. This 60th anniversary is a symbol of their love, and what I'd like you to do now is to stand up and raise a glass to Margaret and David.
Thank everybody who's come today. We're ready to celebrate our 60th wedding anniversary together. And we'd also like to thank especially the three people that have done the speeches tonight. We're most grateful to all of those. This has been a marvellous time because in actual fact both of us enjoy celebrations where we will all be together. And the good thing about this is the fact that all of the relatives are here virtually from the whole of the country, and they're coming here to celebrate with us. Unfortunately, some of the people we know extremely well because they are in actual fact living nearby or in actual fact come past our house. And there's other people here that we haven't met so frequently, and so it's very nice to celebrate today with those people who we're not so well known with. It's a marvellous thing about families that we can actually meet together like today, all together. We're connected with those people that we don't normally meet as a whole family. The times that the whole of the Bennett clan who come together is in actual fact very unusual. Some of you will remember that in actual fact some of our older relatives were in actual fact all born in Cornwall, and they in actual fact were all born in the same house in Grantown, which is halfway between Truro and St Russell. And a few weeks ago the two of us went back to see the house that in actual fact so many of those people were in actual fact lived in. And also the interesting thing is that some of the people that of our relatives that have been quite famous in the past. One person that in actual fact, obviously I didn't know because it was too long ago, was in actual fact a cousin who in actual fact married one of the relatives of Richard Trevithick, who invented the first steam engine. And so for many generations our family name was in actual fact Trevithick Bennett, and we did that for many years. And then because of our relations were in actual fact people that did a lot of furniture making, they in actual fact found it very difficult putting on the furniture. This was made by Trevithick Bennett, so in actual fact they dropped the name Trevithick. And so in actual fact we've been for that time just Bennett. And then somebody who I knew extremely well was one of my father's brothers, and he in actual fact used to come and visit us quite frequently, so I knew him very well. And when he left school, he didn't know what to do, he got no idea what to do. So in actual fact he went down to the local Barclays Bank and said, "Have you got a job that I can actually fact do?" So in actual fact he said, "Yes, they can sweep the floor and all that sort of thing." So in actual fact he did that, and he made such a good job of that, they made him a tiller. So in actual fact he was behind the counter collecting every money. And then in actual fact